squeeze the water off the tire. I think when Colin goes over his data next call for this, you're going to be shocked, shocked at some of the braking data that's available for this. Colin, I don't know, we could just kind of touch on that a little bit, but yeah,
Mhm.
you can actually get after it with the brakes, even with a subpar tire.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I mean, and don't get me wrong, there definitely is still a difference in terms of we got to brake a little
Of
sooner.
course, of
But
course.
it's yeah, you're entering at a lower trap speed too, probably most likely because you're getting a worse exit wherever you're coming from. And that difference really doesn't change as dramatically as you might expect. And we can still definitely get after it a good bit, and especially a lot of these cars with awesome ABS. You can rely on that too if you have it available. So yeah, there's some awesome stuff that we can do on the brakes in the wet. And yeah, it took me a long time. I think that was my kind of biggest limiting factor was building up the confidence to actually brake close to where I'm braking in the dry, and make that decel a bit more aggressive in the wet compared to where I had been. So
Yeah, I mean, here's just if everybody can see it, here's just a quick graph of when I was at Summit. I mean, again, not I mean, Colin's going to go over a lot of data with us when we go over this, and I just put in some throttle and brake of my data when I was there. And yeah, I mean, for the most part, right, our slow points are
mhm.
basically the same. They might be a little bit longer. Um, to Colin's point, yeah, I'm going to go to the brakes a little
Mhm.
bit earlier. My end of braking is almost near the same
Mhm.
everywhere. And you can see the throttle graph too. This particular one I was in, it was very wet out, and I was using a kind of a the most intrusive dry TC that was available. So
Mhm.
I still have my crap together. But yeah, like how I'm building the throttle and how slow I'm using the throttle. But yeah, the end of braking was pretty much near the same. I didn't have quite the braking performance that I would have liked for, again, I'm using a pretty good, it's a great dry 200 tread wear tire. Wasn't as good in the wet as what I thought it would be. Wasn't, it's funny, it was actually better on accelerate, a little bit better on acceleration than it was on the brakes, and especially at turn in. But yeah, it just gives you a little bit of idea of how that looks, right? Same slow points. Um, End of braking is essentially the same. Even I can use pretty good throttle, and I'd use throttle till I'd get some good wheel spin. And once I got the wheel spin, then it was obviously time to back off. And then just since we're here with that, we'll kind of go over this. Yeah, these were my rain laps where I started. These were basically like
Mhm.
my first sets of rain laps where I went out. And obviously the green, you can see the green where I started off, not at a crazy pace, not kind of feeling it out. But yeah, my slow points all ended up being fairly close. But then how I did the braking, you can see how the braking, like I would play with the braking a little bit to see how much brake pressure I could use and what I could get away with. So I would add some brakes, try it, and then I was really concentrating on how much brake pressure I could use as I got closer to the slow point, playing around with that quite a bit. So yeah, I mean, this is something where I was constantly messing with how much brake pressure I could use
Mhm.
and how I could get the car in, how I could get it rotated, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I think these are really fun things to play with. And again, Colin
Mhm.
will go into these a lot next week. So
Yeah,
anyway,
we'll certainly get into the nitty gritty, but yeah, this is awesome, and I love seeing more examples of this kind of thing that we talk about, Ken, right? I mean, the degree of application is what changes, but the location of where we do our inputs really doesn't adjust a whole lot as far as yeah, throttle application and brake release and kind of our fundamentals per corner. So yeah, this is
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. If you look at, like, for instance, the green lap was like one of my first laps, and you could see in a couple spots, right? I actually used more brake pressure on those initial laps, right? Because I wanted to see what I had. I'm like, oh, okay, that doesn't work. So I'm not gonna be able to do that. So, the next lap I'd go to the brakes a little bit softer and not have it. But I was testing that out honestly quite early.
Mhm.
Same thing with even some of the throttle, right? I was going to the throttle a little bit harder initially just to see how much grip was available. And those are all done kind of on the beginning laps.
Mhm.
And then I started playing around with it again, how much I could carry the brake, how much I could, again, here's a lap that wasn't my quickest, but trying to carry the brake a little bit deeper towards turn in and see what that felt like to see how much the car would take. So yeah, constantly messing with those things and seeing basically what I could get away with. Is what it boils down to. So